So, Car Stories on PCTV. I've been doing it for many years. It's a good advertising tool for the business. Plus, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy sharing the shop and the different things that you should know about your car with people. If you need a place to highlight your business, call Gus at PCTV and check it out. It's a good way to inform people about your business. You'll get new customers from it, and you can share your knowledge of your particular trade. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Yanessa. Welcome to another episode of Car Stories here on PCTV. I'm in my showroom, Wheels in Motion at 525 East High Street. You know, by now we do tires, brakes, inspections, service work, and we have a couple new cars for sale in the showroom. Nick and I have been selling some cars lately. The little purple pickup, the Buick that was on last time, they're all sold, and we got these two new ones in. We got this black Cadillac, 118,000 miles, 2011, 9,500 or best offer. Nice car. It's the top one. The chrome wheels. It's got the leather, the good interior. There was a lower DTS, but this is the better one. Nick shined it up, got it looking good. It's been serviced. So if you know anybody looking, it's a nice black Cadillac. Okay, so we got the Cadillac and we got this Camaro in the showroom. 94 Z28, 55,000 original miles, 6-speed stick. Unusual color, not very common, but pretty. Painted black top, garage kept since new. Local guy owns it and it's here for sale at Wheels in Motion. Really, really nice car. Well kept, like I said, garage kept. And these right now are coming up in value. Like we've talked about before, the value of the cars fluctuate just like everything else. And different cars have their time, and the 80s and 90s Camaros and 80s and 90s Corvettes are starting to, come up a little bit. So this one's 14.5 or best offer. Like I said, top condition Camaro. We have some other cars for sale that aren't here. I had it in the showroom before. It was a 74 Triumph Spitfire. It's a bit of a project. It needs to get, back on the road, needs to get running and serviced and so forth. We're looking about $6,000 for that one, or best offer, cash. I can put you in touch with the guy that owns it. Also, my L78 Chevelle, the yellow one, I decided to sell that one. I'm not going to get to it for a couple years because I'm just about done Big Red, and then I'm going to get on the black Caddy. So I figured, well, if somebody else wants to finish it, I'll put it up for sale. So if anybody's looking for a rare Chevelle, still needs to be painted, interior's done. The L78 4-speed that was in our show, I do have that one for sale. The 2010 orange Camaro SS that was here in the showroom. 6-speed, 21,000 miles, Hurst wheels on it, that's mine. That one's also for sale. So anybody that's looking for these types of cars, come on down to Wheels in Motion. If you have a car for sale, a new one or an old one, come see me or Nick and we'll try to get it sold for you. So I can't wait to do tonight's show. We got a lot to talk about in the back, so let's get back there and I'll show you what we got in store. Okay, so everybody's been asking me how's Big Red coming because I've been updating for years on the show, what's happening. I was supposed to have a car show in Atlantic City in February, and it did get canceled. My goal was to have it done for that show, and lucky the show got canceled because I'm running way behind. You know, things just take time. I want it a certain way, and you know, I spend a lot of time trying to make it the way I always wanted it. So if you look on the front end, there's some things here that we've changed. These I made, if you can see or not, they're carbon fiber. They block it off. They hide a lot of the radiator support and the wiring and so forth behind it. Just cleans it up. I had to put these slots in it here because there's the hood latch to open the hood. So I put slots on both sides and got them in. The lower spoiler. The lower spoiler on a 67, 68, especially without a bumper, okay, because I'm not running a front bumper. I can put one on for street, for legalities, I can put one on, but I'm not running one for show or racing or anything. So if you notice the bottom spoiler, I was going to build one out of carbon fiber to match the block-off plates that are put in the lower valance. Instead, I just took the stock spoiler and cut it with a whizzer and cut that much off of it. The sides still have structural, you know, I ground the sides down a little bit. You don't need the brackets because it's so short. I put it on there. It's only on with like 2 screws right now, but when I'm done buffing, I'm gonna put that on there. But it just hides some of the bottom of the car, gives it a little look. And you remember it has the custom back spoiler, so now it's got a custom front spoiler. But I was gonna, like I said, build one, but this worked out fine. I just cut the stock one down. And then under the hood, made this aluminum filler plate, which hides, actually does a couple things. So under the hood, you can see, don't pay attention to all those wires and stuff there. They're just there until we route them. We have to wrap them, but that's what we're working on, wiring, fuel. And this panel here, I made a pattern out of cardboard. It has a function. It actually makes the car run cooler because you're stuffing the air into the radiator. And it also hides all the wiring and bull. So this is a pattern I made. I took it up to Bobby at Ed Quay's. He cut it out of aluminum for me. I brought it back, you know, modified it, trimmed it, made it fit, etched it, and painted it hot rod black like the bottom of the car. It's just a nice little feature that, you know, doesn't look too loud or too custom. Just hides the radiator support and hides a lot of the stuff down there. So I did that. And like I said, we're working on the wiring and the fuel. And the fuel system is quite something on this car. So we're going to put it up on the lift now and show you the underside of Big Red. So, like I said, we're working mainly on the electrical system and the fuel system. The fuel system, braided hose. I mean, you see it on all race cars. This is old school, blue and red. A little bit of nostalgia with Big Red. A lot of the new guys have the black fittings now, or the Enduro fittings that have no color to them. But we went with the old. Now these are the old fittings. I'm putting new fittings and new hose on because there is a life to the rubber inside of here. And some of this hose was old. So if you never did these before, you can cut them with a whizzer, cut the stainless steel hose, very sharp, very tedious. And then what you do is you put these pressure fittings. This goes on the end of the hose and this screws into it, and it's a tight fitting that does not leak. Russell Aeroquip comes from the airplanes back in the day for hydraulic lines and so forth. It goes by numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 is big. You'll never need 10, but hey, it's Big Red, so we need big fuel line. So this is a wrench that I bought. It's pretty cool. It's adjustable, but it's aluminum also. These are aluminum, so you don't nick the fittings. If you use a standard wrench, you always wind up wrapping tape around it. Well, this was a nice $15, $18 item that, you know, is good enough for me to get these fittings on without scratching them up. So Russell fittings, you can do them yourself. They're a little tricky making the hoses, but you got to have it. You know, no more rubber hoses on cars for racing and so forth. So let's take a look at the underside of Big Red, where we've been spending our time doing brakes. We got a brake pedal now. We got an e-brake. We have some of the wiring done. And here you can see there, Gus, I'm just starting to work on the fuel system. Can you get that? So the tank that I had in the car before was a stock tank that Ed Quay back in the 80s had cut down. You take a 16-gallon tank and you make it a 9-gallon tank. so you don't have to carry all that fuel. Fuel 7 pounds a gallon. And with the old tank, you'd have to keep it full, or sometimes you would run out of fuel during the slosh when the car leaves and stuff. This time I had a brand new tank cut. Bobby did it up at Quay's again, but we put this sump in the back before the fittings were at the bottom of the tank. So here's the Russell fittings we were talking about. 2 number 10s go into a Y block, okay, full flow fittings, so there's no restriction. Like you could probably run a 2,000 horsepower engine in this car with the fuel lines that we've put on it. But that's, like I said, I've always had number 10 since I built the car. And then we had to make this bracket out of aluminum, mount the fuel pump, and then here's the braided hose fished to the front, and I'll be putting ends on it, hooking up to the fuel pump and clamping it. There's rules to this too. You just don't put it where you want. Read your NHRA book. They want the fuel line on inside of the frame rail when it's near the tire, and outside of the frame rail when it's near the drivetrain, the drive shaft, the flywheel. Something would happen, it would be protected by the frame rail. So read your books when you're running fuel lines and the battery cable. There's a certain way to do it that it'll pass tech when you go racing. So she's looking good under here. Like I said, suspension works. We're roughly adjusted. Just got to finish the wiring, finish the fuel, and hopefully next month you can hear it run. In the shop right now, we're loaded with Camaros. The Camaro Nationals are at Morgantown. July is 14th to 16th. The GM Nationals at Carlisle are June 24th and 25th. Big Red will be at GM. That'll be its first big show. It'll be in the Solid Lifter showroom, which is a building near the grandstands. And they'll be loaded with nice cars up there for GM. And the Camaro Nationals, which is in July, is right at Morgantown at the Classic Auto Mall. It used to be Mom's Mall. It's going to be a flea market, car show, high-end Camaros, the best in the country. High-level judging, gold, silver, bronze. So if you're into Camaros like I am, you got to put that on your calendar for June and July of this summer. So, like I said, we have some Camaros to talk about tonight. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, so last month, if you didn't catch it, if you guys out there are sharp, that was a rerun. That wasn't a fresh show. I got tied up and I had to cancel with Gus, so he ran that show. And he didn't know what show to run, he just picked one. Well, that one showed this car, this 67, they call it the L30 M20. And what that means is it has a 12 bolt, it has the traction bar, it has the Muncie, it has the 327, it has everything, and it has the code on the firewall to show that it's an SS, but it's not an SS. About 700 of them, I believe, were made. And this was on that show last month. And one of the things I told the customer that the motor had chrome on it, didn't look original, so he should, redo the motor. And it wasn't running quite right. The carburetor was messed up, so he decided this winter to let us redo the motor. So check it out. He got some parts at Carlisle. We got some parts. I gave him a list, and last fall at Carlisle, he walked around and bought the air cleaner, bought some of the things that he needed, hoses, the correct clamps, the battery topper. The firewall, if you remember, was painted maroon, so I painted the firewall black like it should be. And you'll see over here, see the white spatter right there, Gus? Do you need more light? I got my portable light right here. That's the VIN plate. On a 67 Camaro and any 67 Chevy only, that tells you everything about the car. 68, they stopped it. 68, 69, they just have the date it was built and the paint code. But all those little numbers on there tell you the options that this car had, and it proves that it is the L30 M20. But see the white paint? That's because mid-production in Norwood, Ohio, the guys that were building these cars would look at that cal tag and say, oh, yep, it gets power brakes, and they put the brakes on. Oh, it gets air conditioning, and they put that on. And they complained that they couldn't see them, so there was a bulletin to spray across them with white paint so they were more visible. So I did that for him because it's the right time period when this car was built. which was, oh my, July. So it definitely would have been painted white, second week of July. So again, original spark plug wires. I found them an original alternator, got rid of the chrome pulleys. We're finding choke pieces. That's what we need for the carburetor. And some stickers like the air cleaner. And this one's pretty much ready to go. So a lot more original than when it came in. It had a chrome oil pan too, so we had to pull the motor to change that. So nice, rare 67 Camaro that, hey, it's going to be at the Camaro Nationals. So here's the interior of the car. See the console and the gauges? AM, FM. I mean, very few cars in 67 had the AM, FM. The rear speaker, power windows. So another thing that would make me think that it was ordered by a salesman checking off all the boxes is they ordered all the individual light package. Glove compartment light, separate option. Floor lights, separate option. Hood light, separate. Trunk light, separate. This has the deluxe interior, okay? If you would order the package, you would have got all those lights and deluxe seatbelt buckles. So it has the standard seat belts with a deluxe interior, which is kind of unusual. Most guys that stepped up, hey, for an extra $6, I could get chrome buckles instead of the tan. So another reason it makes me think that, you know, and this was a promo color in 67. The gold was one of the colors that you saw all the time in the magazines. The first Camaro built, which has just been restored, 001, is gold. This is about 8,300 off the assembly line in 67. So anyway, I told you I sold the car to a father who bought it for his daughter-in-law for a Christmas present in New Jersey, okay? And I got a phone call here at the shop saying that the father passed away a few years back, but the husband and wife they're also a little older too. They don't use it anymore. They want to sell it. So I wound up going down to New Jersey and looking at it and buying the car back. So it needs me, and they said that. They said they liked me, they remembered me from years ago. They said it needs somebody to pick at it. They just don't have the time. The brakes are mushy. So while I'm down there, I looked over the car, and there were some little things, like the back deck's faded a little bit, and there's a couple little things, but it basically, 15 years ago, looks, you know, pretty much like I sold it. But I'm looking over here, and actually the customer, or the owner said, he goes, yeah, there's a little oily underneath the floor mat right here. Right? So most of us car guys would say, oh man, it's the heater core. The heater core is right here, and a lot of times when it leaks, it gets the floor wet. A heater core in an air-conditioned Camaro, oh my. You have to take the right front fender off, the inner fender off, most of the dashboard, console. It's a real nightmare, especially with air. It's bad enough without air. But guess what? It's not the heater core. I put my hand under there, it's dry. So I'm feeling and feeling. You can see where the carpet's pulled back. I'm going to give you a clue. Look at the color of that seat belt and look at the color of this one. Big difference, right? The oil gauge in the console has a line that has oil fed to it, and it's been leaking for so long, it wicked in the carpet, absorbed it in the carpet, and came over here, that seatbelt soaked with oil. Isn't that unbelievable? I never saw that. I've seen them pop before, but this one's been leaking for a while to get all the way over here. So original carpet, so I got to pull the seats, got to pull the carpet, of course fix the leak, and hopefully I can shampoo the seatbelt and the carpet. See the oil? I can shampoo the seat and the carpet with like Simple Green. That would probably be the, you know, some you can't have bleach, you can't have anything harsh. You'll ruin the threads. So something natural, citrus. So anyway, that's on the list to be fixed. But just a really rare, unbelievable Survivor California car. And hopefully I'll have this at the Camaro Nationals too. Of course, Big Red is priority, but if I get enough time, I'd like to get this one up there. So, okay, so unfortunately we're out of time here on PCTV, and I just wanted to tell everybody, look, we work on something else than Camaros, because tonight's show is almost all Camaros. You know, this RX-7's in for service. We have a Viper over here that's here for service. And you can see how busy the collision shop is. So again, don't forget those dates. Hope to see you guys out at some of them shows. If you have a car story or you have a car that you want to talk about on my show, give me a call. Get in touch with me. I'd love to have you on. And hope everybody gets their car ready, because I think summer's here. Spring's definitely here. So thanks for tuning in at Car Stories here on PCTV.